between 2010 to 2014, right? Their climbing philosophies are very different from, like, for example, like ours, where when we started, like, physique was king, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you really had to be strong. If you are not strong, you just don't have a chance. You don't even have a fighting chance.
I'm not strong.
That's a lie. Okay. So, welcome to the first episode of Pinch of Salt. I have with me Hakeem today as my first guest. So Hakeem has been in the scene for a very long time, even before me, and I was fortunate enough to have watched him compete when I was growing up. Yeah, took some inspiration, and yeah, here we are. So, I would first like to ask you, what's your climbing philosophy, or like what are the certain aspects of climbing do you believe that makes a good climber or fulfills yourself as you climb? You know, things like that.
I think when you talk about like philosophy, for me it kind of works the opposite way. Like climbing gave my life a philosophy.
Okay.
In the sense that like with every climb that you do, regardless of the outcome, there will always be something else for you to go at. And there's that constant exploration and learning at the same time. Like you will never run out of things to do or try.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So to bring philosophy back into climbing, I mean, like it kind of ties in together because I believe in a bit of stoicism. So it goes back to like regardless of the outcome, like it is what it is. There's always other things that you should like move on to.
Okay, so do you feel like as you get better, there are less things to learn, or there's less discovery every time you climb? Yep, that's the question.
I think the fact that like I'm still falling off climbs points out that there's no end in the journey of climbing. Even though like if you are new and you at the start you might experience, like for myself I experienced a very quick exponential kind of growth, and then over the years it kind of tapered out, hit plateau sometimes, but like I don't feel like there will ever be a point in time where I feel like I stop learning when I climb. Yeah, it's always something to discover.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so when you're talking about plateaus, right? A lot of the time, we correlate plateaus to something we're doing wrong, and then like for myself, like my climbing took a jump when I was able to like I actually bothered about climbing well instead of just being strong, and then after that I broke that plateau. So like, was there anything for yourself that you discovered that helped you to break all like the many plateaus I'm sure that you have faced like throughout your climbing life?
I think like what you said, I think we all face that change when like specifically for competition climbing, like the style kind of evolves into like all this coordination, parkour kind of thing. And like if you wanted to compete, it wasn't so much about being good at climbing, but more about being good at adapting. And on the topic of like plateaus also, like what I felt worked for me was like taking long breaks.
Oh really?
Like resting.
Okay.
And like getting to kind of like a full recovery, because I think like the recovery and rest aspect is usually overlooked.
It's
like in like training,
like mental, physical, like
all of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Like big reason why I broke my plateaus after those breaks was probably because I was experiencing a burnout before.
I see.
And it's happened multiple times. So like every time now when I feel like I don't really want to climb, I'm tired, like it's okay, I'm just gonna take like a month off, 2 months off.
So like that's your formula, like like taking long breaks knows, as in like you know that if you take long breaks, it will work for you more often than not.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's not like a set thing that I'm gonna go to all the time. It's just something I kind of discovered along the way, and like looking back, like that's what I realized. Like last year I came back to compete and I had a really good year because I had a long break before that. And it's happened before in, I think, 2017, before 2016, yeah, before I went for World Cup in 2017.
Then you can bring in the question of consistency as well, and you have to consider maybe that, like, what exactly is the reason why people like yourself can take long breaks, come back and do well when the standard of the the scene is supposedly improving, like kind of moving forward, but every time you take a break, it's quite like your status quo is enough, you know, it's enough to keep up with, you know, like the scene. Like how, like what do you attribute that to?
Oh, that's kind of hard to pinpoint. Like I've wondered it myself. Like how come I can do
Like damn, how am I so good,
yeah,
man?
like no, that's not what I'm saying. Like it's really something I've pondered about. Like how come I can take these breaks and then like every time I come back, like it bears fruit and like I get something out of it. Usually that's the case.
Yep.
I think a big part of it is really just like my passion for it. Like I really want to do well in this comms when I come back.
Yep.
And that's also attributed to like, okay, the climbing style is now like this.
Yep.
It's quite natural to learn it again because even the gym setting styles will move into that direction.
That's true.
Yeah, so like you have what you need to adapt to it. And I guess I adapted quite well over the years.
I see. So then we'll move on to like competing as a whole. Okay, so like I think a lot of people know you for your 2017 like World Cup run.
Really?
I mean,
people know about that.
I mean, or like at least like the people in the scene, like the more like involved ones, because you documented it pretty comprehensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you did like vlogs and posts and blogs, and like some even got featured on like the more well-known Instagram accounts, like the international ones. I'm not sure like what they were, but yeah. So I want to talk about that. Like, what made you decide, oh, okay, I want to go on the World Cup journey, you know? Like, I want to try to attend as many World Cups as possible, and like, what was the end goal?
I think for a lot of like us competitive climbers, like the World Cup seems to be like the long, far distant dream. And as the years go by, I feel like my time runs out to go for it. I think that was on the back of like a pretty good 2016 season. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't think I had a good season in 2016.
We all can't remember anymore.
Yeah, but like I remember making that decision in Graphical 2017. That was the start of 2017.
The one right here, like the one outside, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I think that was also me coming back from another break.
I remember.
Yeah.
And like you were lean,
and
like
I was
you were
like,
lean as hell.
if I make finals, then I'm gonna do this. And like,
nice.
I decided to go for it like full time for those 3 months. I didn't work. I was training twice a day, multiple times a week. Yeah. And I spent a lot of money that year.
Yeah, like was funding ever an issue?
It's all personal, so
oh, really?
It's all personal.
Oh my god. So how much did you spend like the entire season?
I had some help from some unknown, I'm not gonna name them, so yeah. I think entirety it cost me about $30,000. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, but you went for the European ones as well as the Asian ones, right?
I mean, I was only in Switzerland. Oh, I think that year it was only Switzerland.
Oh, and then like you just stayed there.
Switzerland, and then China twice.
Yep.
Japan and India, And then the last one I think was in Vail, but I didn't go for that.
Okay. So like walk us through how, like, from the very first World Cup, and how did your experience and perspective change as you approach the competitions, like as you approach every individual World Cup?
I think it's a bit hard to give you an accurate point by point of like how I went through all the different rounds and the time. But I mean, when you go for your first one and it's in a beautiful place like Switzerland, you really quite psyched and thankful that you're there. The first round was quite eye-opening in the sense that I didn't feel too far away from like being able to do the routes, but like bringing it back to Singapore, everything is scaled that much bigger. Like you know the moves, the holes are not so bad, but like everything is just that much further.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
It was quite a stressful thing. Like the entire journey ended up with me being burnt out and taking another break for like, I think I didn't compete in 2018.
Yep.
Yeah, I came back, I didn't compete. 2018, I didn't compete. Yeah, so it was.
But is it an issue of like managing expectations, things like that? You know, like if you fall short of your own expectations, like going into this feeling strong, right? And then that being the cause of your burnout.
Yeah, it was a very consistent kind of linear decline. Like the moment after, in fact, like it's so weird because I felt good after the Switzerland round, but the decline started from there because there was a lot of stress and like pressure I put on myself because of the amount of money that I spent.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because like when I first went for my the first World Cup in Chongqing, right? Yeah. I experienced the same thing as you. Like the first thing that like takes you back is, whoa, like these moves are bigger than I thought, because they really don't look that big. It's quite insane, right? Yeah, exactly. And then like kind of like over the round, like in the route 2, route 3, you kind of get accustomed to it, but by then it's a little bit too late.
Yeah.
And then when you go on to the next one, it's kind of like, okay, I know what to expect, and I know that like I've climbed on these holes before and it's doable. Yeah, so like for myself, between the first and the second one, I got a huge jump in like results. Yeah, but like I think the one thing that I took away from my World Cup experience was that the climbers in Singapore lack certain things that really stand out. Like that's my observation. So I want to know what was your observation like before I even start to share.
Oh, I wanted to hear what you were going to say.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So yeah, so the climbers in Singapore generally, like okay, in my opinion, I feel like we move kind of like from the old school pocket and crimps to like the new school, more dynamic, more risky style, a little bit too fast. Yeah, like everyone kind of like jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
And then the climbers that entered climbing prior to this change, like to this phase of change, right, between 2010 to 2014, right, their climbing philosophies are very different from, like, for example, like ours, where when we started, like physique was king, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you really had to be strong. If you are not strong, you just don't have a chance. You don't even have a fighting chance.
I'm not strong.
That's a lie. Yeah. So, yeah, or rather, like the moves were just more two-dimensional. So the focus at the core of it was always to be a physical climber. Like you had to be a physical climber to like to do well, like back then. And then if you fast forward, the newer generation, I feel like their climbing philosophies revolve around being a better climber and being able to take risks with higher chance of success, and that kind of almost negates how important just simply being strong is. So I came to the conclusion that at the end of the day, strength fuels movement in modern day bouldering, and then movement fuels like your ability to apply your strength or like whatever work that you put in.
Yeah.
So, and like this strength can be broken down into, for Singaporeans, right? Actually, our pinches and slopers aren't super bad, but we lose out a lot on the crimps because in the World Cups they have some like nasty crimps, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us bottleneck at the crimps. Yeah, and because the moves are so far, we have to be that much stronger to do them.
Yeah.
But in Singapore, we are kind of spoon-fed by the dimensions of our competitors, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
especially on the crimps. Like if it's a kind of a crimpy but like slightly complex body movement, if you scale it down, and Singaporeans will be able to do the move.
Yep.
But like at the World Cups, it's just that much. Yeah, it's just that much bigger, and you need that. Like what you're saying, you need that raw strength to be able to generate that movement.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah, so it's like that is the one thing I feel that our local climbers lack a lot, and it really pays to go out there and like put things into perspective, you know. Yeah, if the Japanese people, like the Chinese people, the Korean people, they can do it, right? It's only because they have the exposure and they learn from it. Yeah, so I think it's really important to like go out there. So like, how about you? Like what are some like areas you feel like the local climbers lack to like the areas that they have to fill up in order to go and have a chance at, you know, semi-finals, possibly even finals, you know?
I think they need to realize that you can send the hardest routes, the hardest boulders in the gyms here. You can flash them maybe, that still won't be enough. Yeah, it still won't be enough because like everything, as I said before, the routes, the distances from the holes, everything is scaled down. And I don't know what controls that. Like, is it because route setters want people to actually finish the route? Do we not have enough like super hard projects where like sometimes in a cycle nobody ever sends it? I think if we had like a couple of those kind of impossible projects that people are continually motivated to still work on, that's where they develop the power and the movement that they need to execute. Yeah, but I mean, gyms in Singapore are a business. They are commercial, so they need to cater to their audience.
I watched in a video where someone described the US business model as they are appealing to people who climb to exercise, but Japan, they are appealing to people that climb to become better climbers.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe we are still towards the American side, whereas like certain aspects of us have to move towards the Japanese side if we really want to facilitate the growth of the scene to push for like higher standards, you know.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I think where we are currently at in terms of a climbing scene as a whole, it's still in its really infant stages, where a lot of newcomers are like you've seen an influx in newcomers in the last 2 years maybe. So we're still at that stage where like it's becoming a more like
a
popular
thing,
sport. Whereas like in Japan, it's just like you have like hundreds of gyms in Tokyo.
It's quite crazy.
That's insane.
So like since we're on the topic of gyms, right? I feel for myself the reason why I gravitated more towards bouldering is because it's a social thing. It's like more than half the time you're on the mats and having fun with your friends talking. And then like the interactions between climbers personally really helped me to push further. Like my interactions with, at that point of time, like climbers who are so much better than me, right? Really helps me to put things into perspective and then push to like, it's kind of like playing chase.
I get what you mean. Like I experienced the same thing in my early years.
Exactly. So like how I for myself reach like this level, right, is by standing on the shoulders of those before me. That's what I feel. And like now I think more than ever, because the climbing scene has been growing, like you said, right? So there's a bigger pool of people who are in this position where we are where they are like intimidated by the people who are like crushers, you know, like those gym crushers. And I don't blame them for it. Yeah. So like what are your thoughts on this disconnect like between like the stronger ones and the new climbers?
I feel like a lot of the disconnect comes from the different motivations that they have. Like a lot of the gym crushers are most likely competitive climbers. So as you said about gyms in Japan, they are in the gym because they want to get better, they want to get stronger for competitions. Yeah.
Like even if they don't compete, they still want to get better. You know, like those old,
Yeah,
like
I
old
mean,
guys.
like that's usually the underlying motivation behind for everybody. I think.
Yep.
Like even if you're a newbie, like you come and climb again and again because it's fun and because you feel
Progression.
Yeah, progression. Yeah, it's not something that you can always quantify the progression, but you feel that fulfillment when you have progress on a project or you top a route. Yeah. So I don't blame like the gym crushers because I feel like I was a part of that where I showed up at the gym because I had a purpose, and that purpose was to get stronger, get better, and compete better.
Yep.
Yeah. But now, where I'm at, since I've left the national team, I feel like immersing myself in the community becomes something that I want to do, and I feel like I can it's kind of important to me to see and help people along the way. Yeah.